Hey guys, it's Casual Friday, and that means it's Medium Nancy Matz Friday, and we're going to be having a discussion about the Pixar movie Soul. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good, happy Friday, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's beautiful here. Didn't get a chance to work outside today. Was doing investigation stuff. Yep, you heard that. Investigation. California Haunts Investigating. We're actually going to start investigating this weekend. We have a prelim scheduled for Sunday. And we're really excited about it, getting back out and doing our thing. And in the note of that, I was doing an equipment check. First off, you know what? I forgot my name. I do that every time because I want to talk to you guys so bad about what's going on with this team. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of this team. We are a nonprofit, and we are 45 strong up and down the state of California, which means if you have a paranormal need, we can help you. It might take us a couple days to get to you, but we do get to you. And in the case that it does take a couple days, we do have mediums on staff that can phone you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on. And in most cases, they can calm things down until we can get out and do our magic, get out in the field and do our magic. So be patient. But it never takes us more than 1 or 2 days. And you can call me 24 hours a day, get a hold of me, email me, whatever, 24 hours a day, and I'm there to talk to you and walk you through whatever you think might be going on. That being said, getting back into this. Yeah, I got to do an equipment check today, and we have some old equipment and we have some new equipment. And unfortunately, some of our old equipment is showing some wear and tear. Some of our stuff goes back about 4, 5, 6 years. So I'm trying to figure out a general cost for everything to get everything back up to speed so we can get out and start doing full investigations. And as you can see down at the bottom, I've got a different ticker going because I figured it out, and it's going to be around $100 to get some of this equipment back up to speed. And if the show works on donations, and that's what we do. Oh, look at that, something just flipped. Must be a lot going on in the news. And so if you can find it in your heart to help us out a little bit with equipment, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Ticker's down at the bottom. Like I said, we're looking to raise $100 to do some equipment replacement. So it'd be appreciated by the whole team. Also, we do have an event coming up on Thursday the 28th of March, and that's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be doing another coffee with Ghost Hunter, and if you're interested in attending that, it's a real fun event. You guys get to talk to me one-on-one, and we don't even have to generally talk about ghost hunting. You can talk, get to know me better, or whatever floats your boat. We can have a conversation. Last one we did was real fun, and so if some other people come on and get involved, the link for that is actually there is no link there because as far as the guys on Facebook, I put a separate link up for you guys because StreamYard wouldn't allow me that link. If you're watching from YouTube, the link is at the bottom of the show description for today. So check that out, and Facebook, check out the other link I put up, which is on my profile. And that being said, we're talking about Facebook. Let's talk about Facebook. If you're watching from Facebook today, and a lot of you are, and you haven't done so already, and you happen to like what you see and hear, let me get this. I hate things hanging. There we go. And you happen to like and see what you hear, please feel free to follow. Also, give us a thumbs up, give us a happy face. Show us some love. Essentially, you're showing us some love. And I really appreciate it and comments over the chat room, because that puts us up higher in the Facebook computer system, which sends us out to more people. The more people we go out to, the more people see us. So it's like a snowball effect. Same thing with YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube today and you like what you see, please find it in your heart to subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. We're looking for subscribers, trying to reach that 1,000 mark, getting closer, ever closer, ever closer. And I'm hoping to hit that. We're hoping to hit that the next few months. Same way, show us some love, thumbs up, all that good stuff. if you like what you see, and comment in the chat room. And for Twitch, same thing. It works the same clean across the boards for any social media that you might be watching from. Now, you want to find my team, especially if you have a ghost hunt or something that you'd like us to do, a ghost problem or anything you want us to do. Feel free to look on Google. Google us. We're everywhere. We're everywhere on Google. Or go to Facebook, California Haunts Radio. You can also get me on, you can get me on YouTube. You can get me on TikTok, all the social media. So look us up over there. Okay, that being said, my favorite topic today, Disney, right? We're Disney. Today's movie, I'm excited because what is it? It's a Disney Pixar production, and it's a great little movie. And in fact, frankly, I was shocked that Disney would go into this sort of thing and put this sort of thing out. I really was. And I never figured them for thinking about stuff like that. Other than the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, of course, I never figured that they would do a movie about a subject like this. So I'm not going to talk about this. This is Nancy's gig to talk about. Let's bring Nancy in and get the show on the road.
I purchased this movie a year or so back. My life has been pretty busy, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. And about 2 weeks ago, Shar, 3 weeks, I watched it, and I was feeling. I called her up. I said, I want to talk about this movie. So she had a client a guest that canceled, and so we covered last Friday the show Tuesday night of Souls with Regret, so that I could do Friday night Soul. And it's a 3-year-old movie. Unfortunately, it is on YouTube, but you have to buy it if you want to watch the whole thing. Now there's like 4 or 5 good reviewers, and you can see most of the movie if you don't want to purchase it. I used, like I've told the audience, I actually wanted to be an artist. When I was younger, the second choice was being a teacher. I was very physically active and wanted to be a sports teacher. But life fell in love with my high school sweetheart. And I went a couple of years of school. Didn't get to go to art school. Like I told you last time, they didn't accept women in 1966. And life took a totally different, and so here I am, totally different path, which is about this movie. I thought my passion in life would be to be an artist. Secondly, art teacher and PE. I was very good as an athlete, particularly swimming. And it didn't happen because I fell in love and got married. And working for the telephone company, I got a couple of years in, and off and on over the years, I probably have 3.5 years of credits. I mean, who goes back at my age to finish it for a degree? Helped my husband through 5 years of school, 3 years of school. After we got married on the next day after 2-year graduation from junior college. And we think we have our plans all lined up, and particularly women are so guilty of this. We create a visual. We meet somebody and we plan their whole life out, and the man goes, it's not the same. Oh, she likes me, great, And we got married because that's what kids did in the 60s. And we got married early. Most couples did in those years. And there were 5 of us in the Catholic clique. Anybody Catholic out there? Oh, I know. 5 of us couples all got married, and we invited everybody else to our wedding. And that movie, I had in my mind of what our life would look like. And we all do this. And to find that passion, I let go. I did some paintings, and people went, "Oh my God, you're so good at this." I go, so what? I'm working at a telephone company. And cancer and divorce got in my way. And after a 21-year marriage, and I got divorced because I thought I was going to die. I didn't want to die in a marriage. It wasn't what we wanted at that time. We kind of went our separate way. I mean, we developed into different people in 21 years right out of college rather. And we all think we know the path we're on, and we think we know who we are. And if I've told you kids more million times, you're going to date somebody? Well, who are you? What are you going to tell this gentleman or this lady that come in your life? Who are you? And it's the hardest thing for us to identify our wishes, wants, hopes, and desires. And I'm a camper. I love camping, and I don't do enough of it. And people who love me say, "You got to go camping more often." I said, "My life is so busy. I want to.
Oh,
Now that I live at Oro Dam, I'm going to go for just 2 or 3 days at a time. There's nothing greater in my mind, other than running or something like that, is be in nature. And we have to sometimes get our enjoyment in little pieces. It doesn't have to be a life change. Well, I did change everything. And when I got into counseling, I then realized this might be my passion because I'm so passionate to help you kids live your life and not go down some of the paths that your friends did or I did.
mhm.
What kid knows? We were 19, 20 years old. We dated for 4 years. And Larry's family said, hurry and get the kids married, get them married. I guess they were worried about pregnancy. Of course, I didn't get pregnant for another year. But in those years, that's what was going on. And the passion of helping people survive their life. And that's what my friend said to me. One day I called her up and I said, I have to give up one of these because as an engineering supervisor, the job description is 60 hours a week. you know, I had four satellite offices, not including the one I was the original. And I was driving and it was too busy. And after getting this cancer and getting divorced, I went, there has to be more to life. And when I got into this, I got busy. And of course, the telephone company is very secure, but it wasn't as bad as satisfying. This was amazing. And I told my friend, I have to give this up because it's tiring me out. I mean, I can't do both. And she got mad at me. She says, how dare you even think about giving this up? You're helping people live and survive their life. And in that moment, I had to reevaluate again purpose. And I didn't know if this was a purpose, though after 2 years of working this with the Spirit of Grace, the Universal Christ of the Master Spiritualist Church. And I was there every Friday night, every Sunday. I went 2 or 3 days a week sometimes. It was just so busy, plus readings after a while. And I had to really think to myself, what is my passion? And do I belong there where it's secure and my kids won't worry about me if I get cancer again? I'm getting a check every 2 weeks, whether I'm an idiot or not. I just couldn't envision. But this was a different type of path, one I had never considered. And did I like it? Do I love it? Well, I've never given up after 33 years. And the same with Shar. She sacrificed her life to take care of her parents. And that's a whole different show that's up to her to share. And when they were finally free, we connected again. And we had to evaluate where are you going, Shar? And she says, I want to, where's that passion, Shar? Huh? Where's that passion, right?
Yep.
It's not sometimes what we think we're going to get into. It's what the universe or you decided before you were born that you would like to try. And this morning, I've talked to a couple people. I want to talk quick. Shar, do you have a class afterward?
I do not. We're good.
Oh, good. I got so
The
much.
only thing I wanted to add really quick, as you said that about the passion and where it went, after my mother first passed away, and there were a lot of question marks, I was going to go heavily back into my freelancing and all this, which I'm still freelancing, writing for papers and stuff. But I remember Christina saying, she says, you're destined to be known for ghost hunting and all this. And I thought, man, I really don't want to, at this point.
She liked it, but didn't know. Yeah.
I loved it, but I just didn't think it would end up being something that I would be doing all the time, as a full-time
or making
gig.
an income. Yeah.
Yeah, or making an income. And I just thought, man, and then really, I mean, as a journalist, that's one thing, because you have to have a really strong reputation as a journalist. And ghost hunting, a lot of people don't look at ghost hunting as being a strong thing.
Or
it's kind of
content
creating.
It's just a hobby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a hobby.
Yep.
And so when she said that, I balked and I went, oh, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if that's the direction I'm going to go in. But then here I am, and I'm going to admit it's a struggle. It's a struggle to make that money. It's a struggle to be here, but it's fulfilling.
It feeds the soul. It feeds the soul. And on some level, even though you don't want to hear it, I call what I do service. Even though I have to get paid, everybody, just like everybody else. And at my age, I can't work as many hours during the day, so that's a little restricting. But at the same time, I think that Shar having interviews and doing this does feed her soul. And doing this feeds her soul because she wants to help you understand the world. And lately, it's Bigfoot getting into the picture. Of course, I'm still on UFOs.
Lots of Bigfoot.
Yeah, right. Oh, very interesting. But anyway, I wanted to. So when I saw this movie, I was jumping up and down this. First off, some of the topics in here in this Pixar movie for children and adults, I think it was rated what was it rated for everybody? I can't remember now, but they cover the afterlife. They cover near-death experiences. They talk about heaven and the unborns ready to be reincarnated again. And it's like amazing topics for the general public. I was kind of like,
it is. And it's amazing that Disney, I mean, of course they have the haunted mansions like at every park, right? But it's amazing that Disney would take this on in a movie, even if it's a kids movie. I mean, well,
someone needs to look it up and tell me what was the rating. I think it was for kids. I don't remember seeing a restriction.
Well, then there's Star Wars. On the other hand, they do it, okay? But they do it with Star Wars. They're able to do it with Star Wars with the Jedi. And they're looking at psychic powers with the Jedi. And
oh, right.
How the Jedi can come back, right? So in a way, they are already doing it. But
I don't remember that phase, but you're right about the abilities. Yeah. And as my friends the closest to me go, Nancy, you're not normal. I go, oh my. The movie I identify with is Dune when it came out 40 years ago. And the women who are the psychics, I can do some pretty strange things, everybody. And I go, oh, my ancestors there they are. They're ready. I mean, the ones that follow me, I'll be their ancestor. And my family has a gift. And it's just, I'm looking around wondering which one next, who has it will work with it.
Yeah.
So the movie speaks of all these things. And like I said, not only is the message beautiful, the way they presented it, this poor guy, Joe, just goes through so much. And I'm going to talk about him and his meeting up with a little soul that's yet to be born. And like I said, this is also reincarnation, yet to be born, and the troubles that little soul gets him into. It's just beautiful. And the color, the artwork. Of course, my artistic side of me was jumping around. Look at the pretty colors. It's like, I've even found a cup for tonight. The colors are these beautiful fluorescent greens and blues, and these represent all the souls that are in the movie. Well, I just had to find another. I will get to the description, everybody. Just hold on.
Looking at my life, I found it was weird because I was able to connect with it a little bit.
With the little 22-year-old, the number 22?
Well, no, I was just able to connect because, it's
with who? Which one, kid?
Everything. And life is like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that old saying, just when you think you can make ends meet, somebody moves the ends. And this is my issue. My whole life has been somebody is always moving the damn ends. So that's why I was able to really look at this and go, wow, this is really cool.
Honey, you're a little close to the microphone. Get back a little bit, so fuzzy. You made me laugh. We were starting about needing some equipment. I know you do, and please donate, everybody. And I thought to myself, I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to worry about my body being okay. I can't replace body parts. The other day, I talked to a young lady. She had the most beautiful voice, and I asked her what she did for a living. She talks, and I says, I remember people telling me when I was young, what a beautiful voice I have. I've gotten older and it's more mellow and it's a little deeper. So it still works, right? Okay. I want to go to the movie, and there's quite a bit to cover. So I wrote a lot of notes. I saw 2 or 3 trailers again. I wish I had time. I'm helping someone move, so it's kind of like I've been really busy. And I'll go through the movie, but then I have some examples. I have 3 stories, but I want to give a couple examples of near-death experiences. So I want to start out. It's
real quick. There's been some big news stories going on, and I'm just letting you guys know that my internet is unstable. So we're
you did freeze up a couple times already,
and so did you. So okay, we're even. So we're having issues. There's nothing I can do about it. Everybody, and their brother is on Xfinity right now, checking out the news, and I've been getting
Oh,
the little internet, picture of my little internet. Up there it is again. It just popped up again, so it's telling me it's unstable. So, okay,
well,
that's
I hope
just
I
that's just
freeze without my mouth being wide open. How's
oh,
that?
it was wide open the last time. It was funny. Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
It already
so the
did
movie,
that.
so the movie starts out with Joe Garden. He's an unmarried man of aging. He's about 40-ish, 45. My son-in-law went gray right about 40. And so this gentleman, Joe Gardner, he wears a tight afro, but there is a lot of gray going through it. So he may be almost 43 to 45 and he's a music teacher and he puts up with it. And he has been temporary position for some reason. I don't know his age, how he got there. It's not explained. And the principal comes to him one day and says, well, I'm going to give you a gift. I'm going to give you the official letter to let you know you can become permanent music teacher for our school. And normally people would say, oh, like I would love that, had loved to have been a teacher too. And to think he was so, it was contrary. He had a hard time accepting, I'm going to be a full time teacher. In his heart, he witnessed his father, who was a musician, never make it. And because he has the ability and can play the piano wonderfully, he thought that he had his passion. And he was leaving the building and he was very, not dismayed or upset, but contemplating his life. And just as he's left the school, he gets a phone call from a student who happens to be in a small pub band. In the 60s, they had a lot of in the basement bands. You can go and have coffee. I don't know what they're called, but this is the same environment. You walk down some steps and into this pub, and very close, really tight, and it's rubbing elbows with the guy table next to you and drink coffee and enjoying jazz. I love jazz, and I love the 30s, 40s jazz women and gentlemen in the 50s. So I really could understand that passion. And he gets a call from this student who works there with a very well known lady who plays a saxophone. And he says, Joe, our piano player can't come. This is your chance. This is the interview. Come and be interviewed. And he goes to the interview and it's not as what he wanted. But then he closed his eyes and he said, this is everything I've wanted. I want to get into the flow of this. I want to feel the music resonate all through my body. He's thinking really fast. And he pretends that she's not there. And he takes off. Oh, I just got goosebumps all over. And you can see in his face as he looks up to the ceiling, he's just smiling and his hands are flying across the keyboard. And the saxophone lady, this very famous lady, she turns around and looks at him and she smiles. She's looking and thinking, we found ourselves a really good piano player. And she says, okay, Joe, you go home and you come back tonight and you can be part of our band. He's so, he is so uplifted to think the very day that he's going to offer this full-time teacher credential, he gets his chance at fame and fortune doing the one thing that he wanted to do was to be part of this a group. He's like, he's not even walking on the ground. He's floating. He is so excited that as he's walking home, he misses the bricks falling off a ledge. He misses cars. He misses things being tipped over. He's in a seventh heaven. He's so excited. And then he takes across the street thing and he's watching everybody. All of a sudden, he's aware of the cars. He goes, wait a minute, and people running into him all of a sudden. And he goes, why? I'm out. I'm so excited. This is my day. And he takes off and he falls right into a manhole. And as he did that, I went, wait a minute. He's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to be happy. And he's and the next thing he knows, the guy, his soul, which is, this is a green fluorescent, it's like this, but a little bluer. His soul ends up on a conveyor belt. And he looks around and goes, what the fudge? And where am I? And all of a sudden he looks and there's this big bright light right there, right there. And it's humongous. And it's, as spirit people have shown me, the essence of God. And everybody can't wait to get there. And all of a sudden he realizes there's a really big crowd going around him. And he's saying, wait, I'm not supposed to be here. I got something to go to tonight. I can't be here. And he's so upset. And everybody says, wait a minute, look where we're headed. How can you turn this down? Well, I tell you, at times I have tripped over my own feet. And I think, what is wrong with me? Falling all over. Well, he falls over his own feet. He falls right off the conveyor belt and until the darkness of eternity. I don't know where this is. I think to myself, he's jumped into the void. He's jumped into the emptiness of the vastness of space. And he keeps falling, and he's not very happy because clearly he's not going back to Earth. And he seems to go through layers of essences. And then he drops down and he lands in some pretty grass. And he looks around. He says, fudge, where am I? I don't know where I'm at. And it's really kind of fun because he's looking around and he really wants to get back to Earth and he doesn't see how he's going to do this. And all of a sudden, these little baby unborns jump up around him. He goes, what? And he says, he thinks to himself, I'm going to find out what this is, see if I can figure out a way to get back. And so he realizes this isn't where he belongs. And he sees a complex. He goes toward the complex and he sees a table with a lot of name tags on it. I want to get in there. I want to find out where I can go. So he grabs one, right? I don't know the name, but someone important, someone that isn't him. And they congratulate him on showing up. And he goes into an area with buildings, and there's all kinds of things like a mini carnival or carnival type of environment. And he sees things going on in different kinds of buildings. And he sees people like himself or grown up individuals who are also milling about. And they see his name tag, hello, how are you? And these are individuals who have passed away, but they are teachers. And they're so well renowned that even Einstein is there. I mean, there's really some big names there, right? And they're there to help these unborns discover, as I told my kids and everybody who has children, it's your job as an adult to find the magic in your child and help them to develop it and find out where they belong in life. For me, it was both my parents are artists. So that was all I knew. And it was perfectly all right and looked great. And I was good at it. And here I am, telephone company, 24 years and doing a professional psychic, no less, medium psychic for 33 years. How fun that went. I wonder as a unborn, wonder if they'd introduce me to this and said, you're going to love this. I mean, it'd be fun to know. Anyway, he is directed to go to an auditorium event. And the people are sitting in the round. So in a theater in the round, you have the platform. And then you have people sitting row after row as they go toward the entrance, but it gets higher. And people are on board. And they call his name. Well, excuse me, the name of the tag. And someone says, well, that's you. Get down the stage. Oh, my gosh. So he's directed to go to the stage. He's so mixed up because he knows he doesn't want to be there, but he doesn't know how to get out of it. And they say, we're going to assign you because you on Earth, you had a wonderful reputation of being this great inspirer and a great teacher. And he's going, oh, man, well, who's this guy? I don't want to do this. And they bring him onto the stage, the essence of feminine versus masculine. That's, to me, they all look the same. There's no gender identity, but they must have a personality they will become. And she was going to become a female on Earth, so she's a female essence. And her name is 22. And he's assigned number 22. And he goes, oh, shoot, what am I going to do? You could see on his face like, oh, no. And they're kind of ushered off stage, and everybody goes, thank goodness we got rid of her. We're going to, this guy's going to help her. And she says, I've been here over 2,000 years. No one's going to help me because I'm not going to go to where everybody is miserable. She only knows the Earth as the complaints that she's heard. And so in the meantime, he's trying to think of a way to inspire her. And of course, she's not going to play the game. In fact, she goes to a place that I I got some secrets I'm going to show you. And she takes him to a kind of out about way, and she opens an oven door and she slips through it, and they go into this odd place. It's where people who have regrets go, or those who never felt good enough about themselves to even try. And it's not like possession or anything like this. This is a dark way of talking about depression, a dark way of talking about, are you happy in your life? No, you're not. And and in this place, the soul has created so many negative thoughts that the energy of the thoughts. Remember, I was talking to you about people mistreating somebody. I was doing a ghost investigation. They said, "Oh, this place is really dark." And I went into the house. I looked at the hallway, and I saw this uh, robust, heavier man pick up his teenage 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy and throw him against the wall almost every day. Well, the wall was gooky, kind of tarry looking to me, of negative energy. So these souls in heaven, before they could get born or had problems or whatever created them to be there, would keep that negative energy, and it would bellow up into this monstrous looking thing. And the inside would be this little tiny soul creating all these negative thoughts. And so she wanted to show him that she had things that she could play with and do. And he was just astounded. I never seen anything like this before. This is terrible. And so she was in a manner had a goal, and she found the people she was looking for. And in this cluster of peoples was this guru looking kind of guy, and he was meditating, and she thought he was cool. And so there was a cluster. He was on a boat, a ship, going between the negative energy and trying to outrun these depressed souls. The visual is incredible. Please just watch it. If you don't want to hear the story, turn it off. Just watch the visual and the way they create the artwork. It's like unbelievable. So they go and visit this guy, and he says, "Well, I'm alive. I just come here to meditate." And of course, Joe is like, "Oh, wow, how did you do this?" And he says, "I just relax and I think about things." And he was very entertaining, as well as some of the other people that were there, but our focus was on him because in the process of the movie, his role becomes important. Okay. So and all this time Joe's mind is going a mile a minute. He says, "I want out of here. I don't want to be here." And then of course he's meeting this fella. And then she says, "Well, we have to get back." Okay. And they have this afterward, they have this big discussion. And she says, "I don't want to go. You're wasting your time. I want to stay here. You're going to fail." And he talks to her. He says, "How can you judge what you don't know?" And she did agree to that. How do you know what you don't know? That's that's right, right? You could take on a new career. You go, "Well, how will I know if I like it if I've never done it?" Well, that was her argument. And so he somehow talked her into visiting Earth. And they go to the edge, and he points out, "This is not a bad place. There's a wonderful." He was trying to convince her. Oh no! Oh, well, guess what? They fall. And they go right in. Joe's thinking about his body. She lands in number 22, lands in his body in the hospital bed. And Joe, he falls into the cat that's sitting on the bed watching Joe. Have you ever seen the video of the cat in the old people's home or the hospital, and the cat walks around and then visits a bed, and everybody goes, "Oh, that one's going next. Look, the cat's visiting him." Well, that was his cat. This cat gets Joe in its body, and poor Joe goes, "Oh, how can I play the piano with these paws?" Of course, 22 wakes up and goes, "Oh no, we got to go back. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here." And then the idea is, well, let's find this guy, because when they were visiting in the land of regret, he says, "I'm alive. I'm at the corner of so and so and so and so." And she remembers that. And he did too. And he said, "Well, I don't know for sure where we are, but we will go find him." And this is the journey that wakes her up. And she is astounded. The noises of the city scared her, the people bumping into her. And then she kind of sat down, and she was so disgusted with everything. And she realized she was hungry. The body was hungry. She'd never experienced that before. She got weak, and the cat goes, wait a minute, I'm going to take care of this. I got to get my body. We got to find that guy to get me back. So he finds, somehow, grabs on some pepperoni pizza. Well, if I were Joe, pepperoni pizza, that's what I want at my funeral. Champagne and pizza. I want pepperoni. I can't eat it now. Anyway, Joe, the 22, is experiencing eating for the first time. And 22 throws her arms out and goes, oh my gosh, what is this? And she's eating the crust, and she's like, as Joe, it's just a light moment. And from there, they have this journey of discovery. And it comes to her that she's amazed. She's amazed that this is all happening for her. She's experiencing it. And there's a little moment after walking a ways where she is enlightened. She looks at a tree at the autumn time, and a little seedlet comes and lands in her hand. And then she gets the picture. She understands the greatness of life. And she's very happy, and she doesn't want to go back. She wants Joe's body. And Joe goes, oh, no, we're going to go find that guy. And they do find him. And he says, we need to go back. And he says, what you want to do is just relax. And he had a job working for his mother, this guru, where you've seen the fellas on the corners, and they have this big sign and they twirl it around. Of course, you can't read it, but it's interesting to watch them. I don't know what they're promoting. You know, he wouldn't let anybody see the sign because he was just doing this. And he got what Joe called, and the jazz moment, getting into the mood, getting into the run of this, like he was engrossed in it. Well, this gentleman did too. On the street corner, this guru-looking guy was twirling this sign, closed his eyes, and he did it automatically. I say this too. I've always driven stick. Well, recently I got a different car. My husband drives a stick, but he wanted me to drive this car, and I got in there like I'd never forgotten, never had a moment without driving stick. It was instantaneous. So this guru guy got instantaneously in that mood, that mode of creating a meditative state. Whoop, he's up in that area in the afterlife. Well, Joe says, we have to do that too. And the next 5 or 10 minutes of the movie is a search trying to figure out how to do that. And they find a way, and they end up back up there in heaven. I think there's a part that I didn't understand. I think there was a part where they're walking around town trying to figure out what to do. And he's in the suit that he left the hospital. He found a suit, and he ruined it. So he had to go to his mother's sewing shop. And she got out the suit that Joe's father would have worn if he ever made it big. It was wool. And so Joe, number 22, put that suit on. And so they go to heaven, and the girl, 22, she's so amazed that she's ready to go back and have a real life. And at this point, Joe realizes the satisfaction that he had seen in her and his quest for helping her. He then, I'm missing a little section here only because we're going to run out of time. I got to get it going because it's real important.
We got time.
Yeah, but I'm not done here. I have more to talk about. Yes, because I want real life experiences to be shown here. So, get back to where I was. They end up back in heaven by meditating, and they leave where the guru was sitting, and they get back to where she first met Joe in that same area. And she's excited. She wants life. And so the people who are in charge, they give her that emblem that every new soul has to work out all their interests and who they are as personalities. And it's a badge saying, you are now graduated from heaven. You know who you're going to be in the next life. You found your passion, your excitement. You can go to earth. And they walk to the edge of the portal where they can see earth below. And Joe, for the first time in his life, was thinking of somebody else. He was so excited to help her that he allowed her to go without him. Now, he knew he would come back because you don't get very far if you're not assigned a path. Somehow, when they went to Earth by accident, there was some kind of something that happened. I think she got the badge, but he held on to her. So this time she was going to go without him. And when he saw her leave, the satisfaction of allowing that to happen, and he would sacrifice his chance to get back to Earth and beat Joe, he was okay with that. And so the individual and that was in charge came up to him and said, "We are so happy that you've done so well helping 22. After all, she'd been here 22,000 years at least. And we've seen how much you have grown. We're going to allow you to go back." And you have to appreciate how much time the movie, remember, we live in linear time, how much time is shown. In reality, when he goes back, he's given the opportunity, and it seems like a few hours. So he has the suit on, and he goes to the pub that night, and he's going to play with the sax, this very famous saxophone player, and it's magnificent. In fact, she stops a couple times to watch him as he just gets in the moment, and this wonderful music comes from him, and his eyes and face is lit up as though he had taken and gotten an Oscar. And afterward, after it was over, everybody stood up and they clapped. It was just the moment he had always wanted, that final recognition that he had done what he always envisioned himself. And when he got up, everybody was clapping. He saw his mother and her family around as though they were also witnessing this grand moment. And he was unbelievable. And after it was over, then he leaves. Remember, it's downstairs. If you can envision 1960s, the beatnik era, the small little pub. And he comes up and he's just amazed at this opportunity. And then you watch him kind of his eyes and he's thinking about it and he's realizing he's made it. But was it as great and wonderful, life altering that he thought it would be? And he said, no. You could see it in his face, how they drew the face features, how he agonized over the idea that this was what it could be for him. But what happened was the lady who was in charge, saxophone player. She was really great. I'd like to know who played her part. He says, "What now?" And she says, "Every night. You go home and you come back and we'll do it again and again and again every night." And when he left, after he thought about it, he said, "Every night," as though the newness and the wonderful experience would rub off ever quick because then you're forced into it. And he realized the helping of young people and being a teacher, every day was different. Every child was different. Every experience for them was different. And at the end of the movie, he accepts the position of teacher and he doesn't go back to the pub. What that taught me was every one of us, and I spoke to this earlier, in high school, I wanted to be an artist. My secondary would be a teacher, art teacher or physical ed, and I was good at physical ed. And it took a totally different turn. In reality, the universe, the path that Nancy's soul picked wasn't for all of that. Yeah, having children, absolutely. But getting into this. And it was not known to me at that time, though I've been this way all my life. But I had no words for it. We didn't even know what psychic was when I was growing up. Never heard the word except for the gypsies in the circus. And ooh. When I got into this, people say, "Oh, you're a fortune teller." I go, "Oh, no. Is that what psychic is? Ooh, how about seeing dead people?" "Well, it's still psychic." And I love that movie for the color, for his expressions, for his anxiety of what can I do to get back to life? And then he realizes he's helped this young soul discover her passion for living. And that was the greatest reward he had ever had. And then when he had a chance to play at the pub, Then he realized the drudgery of every night when being a teacher had so many rewards that he never took into consideration. Um, I want to go on now and talk about a couple of notes that I thought of. I've been working on this for a few days. Not only did I rewatch the movie, the trailers to refresh myself because I really loved it, I looked at some near death experiences, and one looked at because I want to make sure that we talked about real happenings. Um, and I had remembered some videos I had watched, and one of them, a young man wrote on there that he died and did not have a near death experience. Um, I have read a lot, and the number of people who have near death experiences that they remember is very, very small number, from 12 to 20%. That's really a small number. Now, I told you that I had had experience when I was barely 7. Um, and this lady was holding my hand in those years. I'd never heard of this, never seen anything on TV. And all I could think about was who's holding my hand. And years earlier, before all this, I was probably 5. I woke up in the morning, and my mom and dad had come in before he was killed. So I was probably 5, and said, "Something's underneath your bed." I go, "Under my bed?" And it was an Easter egg basket. I had never seen that in my life. You mean some stranger came to my house and put something under my bed? It was like unknown to me. And not that this is a for me, but we didn't have the money to celebrate. Before he died, this Christmas before he died in April, was the first time I had ever seen a doll. And we got dolls. And even now, as an older lady, I love the smell of plastic because the doll was so unusual to me. You open it up and you put it against your face and you smell the rubber, excuse me, of a doll. And since then, I love that smell. Crazy. But the idea that a rabbit would come in the house and put something in my bed, or this lady after um, when I bled out, I had tonsils removed. I was a pretty ill child, and mom gave me an aspirin before going to bed. I bled all night long and had this experience. And the next morning, she was dating somebody, John Powers, and that's the first time I woke up in his arms while they were rushing me to the car to get into the hospital. And I was in the hospital for a while. Probably because they didn't want mom to give me aspirin again. I don't know. I was a little tiny thing. But most people do not have experiences. Um, I've had quite a few operations. I've never had any kind of experience at all. Of course, my heart didn't stop. Or if I did, remember Ghost Town? He had a colonoscopy, and they said he'd been dead for 6, 7 minutes. They never told him. He figured it out. So a lot of times things can happen to us, and we'll never know. But don't be dismayed if you don't have experience or hadn't had one when you did die. Our minds will give us what they think we should remember. And if it was traumatic to go through the experience, then your mind will close off. And that's happened a lot of times during readings. And I'll have someone come to me and they go, "Oh, I need this job. Job. Will you tell me if I'm going to get it?" And the one thing that you're most desperate about, sometimes I don't get an answer because the bubble of energy around, "Oh my gosh, if I don't get this, it's going to kill me. If I do get it, it's the rest of my world." It's so big. It's like someone's waiting to get engaged. Is he going to finally? And I just had a call the day before yesterday. Is this the one? Is he finally going to? Am I going to finally get? And what I was shown is I had to leap over 6 months and go to a place where I saw double rings. And what that tells me, she's not only going to get engaged, she's going to get married. And I described the ring. She says, "That's exactly what I would wear." I never saw the wedding. So sometimes what you're most anxiety ridden about is hard for us to get. And so if you're really afraid of near-death experiences or dying, you're not going to remember. If you can't comprehend the message you got while you were in this near-death experience, then you will not remember it. And that's that. Um, and the other one is a woman who was on a heart. This is actually I think it was a book or a movie. She was on a heart-lung machine. They removed the blood from her body. They cooled her so they could work on her brain. Um, and she had a near-death experience. So when she came back, she was telling the doctors, and they said, "Wait a minute, near-death experience? What's that?" And they said, "Well, her brain was actually flatlined. They cooled her body so far." And you've heard of kids falling in rivers and freezing, and then they wake up. And there was a well-renowned case like 20 years ago of a 19-year-old girl who got out of her car walking to her destination in the snow. And they got up the next morning, realizing she hadn't shown up. They walked out 100 feet, and there she was, frozen in a log right there in the snow. They defrosted her, and she woke up. So you can live after tremendous stress on the body if it's cold. And she did. They said her no blood in her brain. Remember, they had to work on her brain, um, and there was no electrical activity. To me, to me, that's being dead. And she did live, but it wasn't a car traumatic accident, or like me, I lost so much blood I passed away and came back. Like the lady said to me, you can't come with me. And I thought to myself, I don't want to go with you. It's like I was a little tiny kid. But she says, you have to go back to stay with these people. And there were two kids playing. And I assumed, I got to thinking they're probably my grandchildren because they both are brunettes. Anyway, so, and I'd like you to, didn't mean if you're injured or at a hospital venue, people as, and this writer wrote on this, Robert Monroe, Journeys Out of the Body. And he did create Monroe Institute, and he did, for many, many years, write how to leave the body and enjoy the travels outside the body, and just a fabulous guy. So if you want to learn how to do that without having near-death experience, it's very exciting because a lot of near-death experiencers on the YouTube channel LMN, they talk about out-of-body experiences. And no, bud, I see you, honey. He thinks it's time for him to get some loving from me. I see you, bud. Yes, that's Black Cat number 2. This is on YouTube, and the channel LMN, where they're talking about near-death experiences. And it's about a gal, a young woman who has had her 3rd child. And unfortunately, after the delivery, Bud, go on, go on. Can you hear that, Shar? I hope you hear the meowing. Anyway, Deb dies. She had some kind of embolism after having given birth to her 3rd child, a little girl, and she died. And she had, let's see here. Anyway, she did have an experience, and she got out of the body, and she had flashes of her life. No, that's Michaela. After delivering the 2nd child.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure I'm at the right one. I started with the young woman first, and she's number 3 here. She was taken to a very beautiful place, and there's a field and flowers and lots of grasses, and she's on a staircase. Remember in the movie I mentioned the conveyor belt? And she's on this staircase, and she had forgotten while she was standing there all about her life. She had forgotten that she was married, the kids, and this trauma of her birth, the birth of her 3rd one. And there was an extremely bright light standing where she could see lush gardens beneath her and the beautiful floor all around her that she then forgot. And this is the reason I brought her up. The new mom in this staircase with all this beautiful flora, she saw cats and dogs on the stairs with her. And the animals were running to the light and then jumping into the light as though encouraging her to follow. I had never heard that before. But this is a woman during the interview that I felt like she was pretty, she's very believable. And she did want to bring this up during her interview of her near-death experience. The cats and dogs upstairs were with her as though encouraging her to follow them. When I talked to a friend I trust, and we were talking about afterlife, and I said, what am I doing? And she says, you're riding your horses. Oh, well, that's great. I lived, for those who know California, Auburn, Faith Auburn trails between Auburn, California, and Folsom, Granite Bay. So the Auburn Lake trails and the horses. And then when I started running, I would run the same trails. When I was running, I had dogs with me, and my dog was Bonnie, a black lab, and then our neighbor dog Caesar, who was a great big German Shepherd. They ran 2 or 3 times more than I would. So if I did 13 miles, they did 36 something. And she says, the friend I trust, she didn't know I rode horses. And competitively, I was very, very active. And she says, I see you on the horse, but you have dogs with you. And she didn't know I had a dog that ran with the horses, but then more so when I was running. And she said a black lab. And I knew that she couldn't have ever made that up. So in the afterlife, you can, and if you desire to be with your pets, they will come and visit you. Nothing was mentioned at who will greet me. I felt like my mother will greet me. In the background, I see an Aunt Hazel and my father. Essence of him anyway. I felt like he would come back before I pass away, but they can project an essence of themselves so that I could see him. But the scene, the cats and dogs on the stairs that were not hers, was something I really wanted to bring up tonight. There is no concept of time, and while she was there, she did on this interview say, it seemed like I was there a long time, and it was very short time, not even a day. Docs could not get her heart started. And the doctor in charge of the OBGYN group that was helping and helped deliver her child realized that as people are dying, the hearing is last to go. So she kept talking to Deb to come back. Deb did come back, and when she heard of the frantic talking of the people to save her life, she came back and she was at the ceiling of the room. So she was looking down at the doctor as the doctor climbed up on her chest to do heart compression. And she heard the frantic talking of the doctor. Yes, to save her life, and she realized she must be dead. Then she asked God, please let me live to take care of my young family and this new baby. Then she lost her connection to her body. Next moment, she was looking at her body from the top. She was at the top of the ceiling, and she felt disconnected. The next second, boom, she was aware that the doctor saved her life, and she got in the body quick, and her eye flickered, and then they saved her. A day later, she did wake up. They kept her in a coma. Husband came to her, and she wanted to write this down. What she got from this experience, the only value while alive is that people is to be alive, is to be with people she loved. The message, and she needs to give, is that message of hope, and that there's more after death. Okay. I'm just going to back. Listen, can you hear him? Do I have to shoo him off? This is a young man in 1994 attacked by an emotionally ill brother, and he was stabbed by this older brother. He was the youngest of these 5 kids. He was stabbed with a 19-inch knife into his upper chest. The young man is told to raise his legs. He was telling his family what happened. They came to his rescue, and the father grappled with the older brother and took him away. And so the mother took him into the kitchen, and while calling 911, they said, raise his legs up. And that's when you go into shock. Somehow losing blood from your chest, you can drain the blood from your extremities, goes into your body, keep you alive longer. He's asked to raise his legs, and his mother is told to hold towels to his wound. After the EMTs are driving to the hospital, he's being forced to continually talking. He is realizing that if he realizes if he falls asleep, he'll die. So he then realizes that he's doing everything he can to keep awake. He was in the hospital ER surgery. He knew that he needed to keep conscious, as people who go to sleep don't live. He was in a dark. He then in surgery he did go to sleep. He found himself in a dark place. He was aware he was in it was different. The darkness was holding him, was peaceful, and he felt bliss and joy. Holding him like a mother, the darkness loved him back. I've heard this on near-death experiences where people say, I'm in this void. I didn't know how long I was there. It felt real short, and then I went to I saw a bright light and I went to it. Other people, and I've heard people say um, a, a dark experience, meaning a negative experience where they're in the dark and they don't know how to get out of it. That all of a sudden they're sucked back in their body. But they say that this is the other one. How dare you? uh, and some of them said short time, some said a lot of time. It was very confusing. This is the first time I've heard of this young man saying that he felt complete love and it was nurturing and holding him. So I'd like that. And he had this being interviewed. This was years ago. Some of these stories are very old. The compilation of stories, is, and because it's 94 and YouTube said it was only 6 months or something old. So he looked very peaceful. This young man had this confidence about him. He was very lovely, talking about this darkness. In the darkness, he knew there was more, and he kept searching. He felt like he needed to look around, search. He then sees a bright light, and the love was being held, and the potency of the light. Like there was a lot of active it, um, energy pulled to, made him think of wanting to go there. Like there was life in this light, undefined. During the surgery, he had to have 4 pints of blood. In comment, he did say that he had lost more blood than most people uh, would would survive. So they did that. It seems like 4 pints isn't quite enough. While in the light and the sense of no time, as he came into consciousness, he felt like he was being forced into a small, tight jar. So out of the body, he felt enormous, wonderful, big, um, without boundaries. And I've heard this a lot, where the people get into the afterlife or the in-between space, and they can look around 180. They have a sense of all knowledge, and they feel unencumbered by the flesh vessel. So when he came back, he didn't like it, and he didn't know why he was there. Felt he wanted to and should be in the path of the darkness going to the light, like he felt cheated. He did spend 4 weeks in the hospital. He found out that initially he lost more blood than a human would have. That's what he said. After your experience now, he loves everyone. He is now an you've heard the expression introvert, expert. Um, I'm talking too quick. I'm doing my charades, get tongue tied. I rejuvenate by being around people. So I'm not an introvert. I'm the other way. So now he is that. He loves people. He goes places. He shakes hands. He talks to people. He's drawn to find out more about people. He did find out that after he came back, he can affect electrical outlets, lights. He fries his lights. He fries his computer. He's around electrical lights. They boil out. Yes, I've heard of that a lot. While in the dark, he saw no religious figure to give him wisdom. He was expecting to see Christ. In Please don't hear this wrong. When I am visiting the afterlife and the people want me there, talk to them. I saw a man of the cloth, a representation I would call a priest. And all these years, I've had nobody talk to me about religion and the afterlife. I have had questions I wanted to ask, but you don't think of it when you're visiting people. So it doesn't come up. He also added, and I've heard this too, he feels like this life is not a true life. The afterlife is trueness. And I've heard that a lot. Why would we come here? I've heard this is the mud planet, this is the punished planet. England in 16th, 17th, 18th century would send their prisoners to Australia. They would just get rid of them. Well, the people in Australia, when they settled in Australia, they were free. They thought they had won the lotto. It wasn't so bad. So they made a good trade-off. They left the confines of a cold, wet, foggy England for the sunny, beautiful shores of Australia. Hello. Let me think about that for a minute, right? So he felt like the afterlife was a true life, the fullness of it. I've heard that a lot. There are times, and this is kind of odd too, I feel like there are times when I do not meditation, but do my work, and people have said this of me, I feel like I grow, like the energy around me. I apologize if it's getting dark all of a sudden. It feels like I'm in a cave here, like Shar is darkened. Um, People say when they see me, and I've done a lot of lectures, conferences, and all kinds of stuff. And when a few times people mention to me, oh, when you stand there, your energy goes from right around your body, this expands and goes way into the room. Oh, great. If that happens, that allows me to do the readings I've done in large groups. Of course, I love that. I haven't done it for a few years, but it's something I love doing, and most people wouldn't want to. I tell Shar, I'm the kind of person who likes to live on the edge. I like to be tested from moment to moment. Just crazy, right? And that's how he felt. And I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot. Um, the last one I want to talk about, all these are different. I love them. A car accident. The young girl in the family car, mother and father, and three kids in the back. Someone sideswipes them, and they go flipping, and she hits her head somehow on the back of the, comes up, hits her head on the back of the the back window somehow, or is it the side window? I can't remember at the moment. Really damages her face. She's cut open very, very badly. She cut other parts of her body. She loses a lot of blood real quick. Someone does call 911. She remembers being in the ambulance. They take her to the local hospital. It's a very small community. Unfortunately, they can't take care of her. She's crashing very, very quickly. Um, and so they helicopter her to a bigger facility. Her left arm went to the back window, and she had a cut above her eye orbit. And the doctor, the one that treated her, is also part of this, her story. He's on the air. And he said that she was in a very grave, grave situation. And the cut on her forehead was 2 inches, from her eye, from one side to the other, very deep and very large. Um, and the word he said was she was in a grave condition. That's pretty serious. While in the hospital, she went back to sleep. And at that hospital, in the helicopter, she went back to sleep. When they got her to the hospital, she was flatlined. Um, and this is different because I've heard this before. In the movie Brainstorm by Natalie Wood. Brainstorm. See if you can find that. Wonderful. It's the last movie that Natalie Wood made before she drowned in the ocean. And it's about scientists who are trying to capture the last moments of death, of living to a dead person. And the main scientist has a heart attack. And while she's in the throes of this terrible experience, heart giving out, and it's just a terrible scene, but very appropriate for the movie. She puts a helmet on, and what you see of her lifting out of her body, she's engulfed with the bubbles of memories all around her. All the memories of her life surround her, and she can watch every little thing that she wants to watch of things happening in her life. And as she moves forward, she looks up and she sees the inside like a tornado, lined with angels, and they're singing the music of heaven. And at the end of it is the entrance to heaven, the bright light. So if you can get hold of the movie Brainstorm, I think it's free on YouTube. Natalie Wood, or type in Natalie Wood's last movie. And this young Michaela, she had that experience. She experienced a flashback of her life. She was self-aware of all the experiences in these scenes. As she is shown her life flashes, she experienced life and even saw her grandchildren yet to be born. Remember, she's only 17 years old. So the universe in this situation not only saw the past, she can see the future. What do I do? Why do most people call me up? They want to know future. Future is hard because it's unused and unexperienced time. It feels like I'm wiggling through jello. The back, if I go backwards, I can go hundreds of years because it's unused. All I need is a thread of connectingness. So if a girl comes to me and says, my mother's father's father, his name was boom, tell me about him. Yeah, that's easy. She never met him, but I can find him. So unused time is very easy. She's shown future time, which I've not heard near death experience. One more time, I'll read it. As she's shown her life flashes, she experienced life and even saw her grandchildren. And now, after telling this story, she has still not had children. Remember, this is compilation of stories. So in this interview of her near-death experience, she doesn't look more than 25, or maybe at the most 28. But she was 17, and she hadn't married and had children, yet she will have grandchildren. And she says, when that happens, that day that I saw in this vision, I will know that I have lived according to what is a story of my life. And I do that. People will call me up and say, "Oh, Nancy, I'm going to take a trip. Am I going to come back?" And I will tell them something of what they're planning to do in a month or something. So anyway, I want to go on to her story. She started to experience the lights and the noise of the R. Next instant, she was being sucked into a tunnel. So even though she was unconscious and she saw these flashes around her, she was hearing the hospital room because they brought her back.
Mm-hmm.
But she was then being sucked into the tunnel, and evidently she must have flatlined again because she felt like, and she showed it in the screen like, like, whoops, there we go. So then they must brought her back because in the next second she's on the ceiling watching, witnessing, she said, her surgery from the top of the ceiling. Again, that is something that I hear a lot. I'm looking around, I'm dead, but what's happening? And uh, and so she starts leaving the room. She thinks of people in her family, her father, and she goes in. Her spirit goes into the waiting room, and the father says, "I can't stand this. I'm going to go out and have a cigarette." Well, Grandma, who's never smoked, says, well, I need a cigarette. Well, the other grandma's there too. And she says, me too. And she made a point of saying, they've never smoked, but they all went out for a cigarette, both the grandmas. It'd be like saying, Nancy went and had a cigarette, and everybody go, oh, no, she had a what? I've never smoked in my life. I don't even want to think about it. 14 days later, she comes out of the coma and tells her mother how she saw Dad and two grandmas wanting a cigarette. She did say she felt very different and realizes how valuable life is. She now takes more chances. Remember, I told you had cancer, and it changed my life. I got divorced. I moved out, got divorced, and then within 2 years, I said, well, is there more? And I took the chance to change everything. Even ill, I took a chance and moved out before I was even healthy so that I could start a brand new chapter for my life. And that's another way of looking at it. And she said this. She says, I now see how important and valuable life is. I will need to take more chances. And she's not afraid of life and will take chances and eventually a future life with children and grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So that is everything.
We got a question. We got a question in the chat room. Do you feel tired after doing large groups reading?
No. I do now. When I was younger, it energizes me. If I read for Char's show, and we've done this a few times, I don't get tired for an hour or two afterward. The energy seems to be sucked in from somewhere else, and it makes go like this. I used to do psychic fairs, and I would talk between an 8-hour day, and that's lunch and breaks, 22 to 24 people. And they'd say, how are you doing this? I says, I'm not tired. It energizes me. But 2 or 3 hours later, then it catches up with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had answers on how this works, I think exuberance, excitement, being able to blend with somebody new energizes me. When I tell people, and I showed the sign, I don't have it handy here. Entrance to another soul is a blessed honor. And I really believe that. And when I do blend with somebody, I learn a universe of information. It's very exciting to me. And being able to understand a person, and like the little girl that called, she wanted to know about this man, and I blended with him. I got all this information of turmoil and grief in his life. And I've talked to this girl before, And she says, yes, you're right. He had grief in his life. Yes, the girl betrayed him, that he broke up the floor. And and when I do that, I get all this information. Every life is exciting. Every life is interesting. Everybody's unique, but the sameness goes on. We all have similar, same kind of less experiences. I don't want to call them lessons because we're here for life experience, not to be tested, not to experience loss in a negative way, but loss in a growing way. Yes, my father got killed when I was 6. Absolutely terrible for my mother. She was only 29. I did not have a solid male figure in my life until my grandfather, Lee. And that's when we moved to North Sacramento to live with grandmother for a while. And I learned to love my grandfather. And so the men I married looked like him. We seemed to marry a parent, husky, bigger people. And I found that kind of interesting. So, um, wait a minute, here is this one. Uh, Oh, I wanted to add there when I do a video, watch a video, I will read the comments. And there's a couple I did keep, and I want to read it real quick. I died for 4 minutes after receiving a double plant transplant. After I passed out and arrested, I was amongst a congregation of hundreds of people, and there was this beautiful music everywhere. I knew I was on my way to heaven. It was like an angel presenting this experience to me. I felt like I was sitting up in a golden bed, surrounded by hundreds of people. All of a sudden, I got this incredible feeling of happiness, joy, love that I really can't explain. I wasn't even thinking about my wife, my children, my grandchildren. I was on my way to heaven. All of a sudden, my body started to ascend, and as I was moving upward, there was an interruption. I was in a complete different scenario with nurses and staff. I came to the conclusion that at that moment, they got my heart started again. I did not come to for at least a day. The Lord and heaven are real. I have heard that a lot. I have clients that call and talk to me about their experiences. And and unfortunately, they sometimes have said, "Why did you bring me back? I was happy." And they forget all about the ones they left behind. And people call me. I've just had a call yesterday from a little girl whose father died an hour earlier. So I described the people that greeted him, and she knew who I was talking. Remember, I can see the visuals. I don't know who they are, so I tell you what they look like, um, and she knew who I was talking about. And I said, "Oh, he's so happy to see. He was so glad to get out his body. He must have died of disease." And she confirmed that. So I think it's how it happens. But she wanted to know that he was okay. And we as people want to know that we're visited and loved by them. After they recover from life, and even though they're happy, it does take a while for them to adjust a new vibration. They do come and visit us. Absolutely. But initially, a lot of them don't know that. When my father was killed, I don't know that he came around for a while, but then he did come visit me. My first experience of talking with spirit people, and I told his mother, who was a spiritual medium, psychic medium also, and she had tape recorders in those years that called it tape to tape, and I would visit her, and she would say, "Now, what did Daddy tell you?" And I would tell her what he would tell me. He visited, I don't know how many nights, but I remember visiting with him after his death, which is, people like me do that. So, um, so I wrote this. When she spoke of the stairs, this is one of the stories that Deb, the mother, um, the cats and dogs, that was my confirmation that my fur baby, this is one of the ladies who wrote a reply to the near death experiences. When she spoke of the stairs at 14.02, the cats and dogs, that was my confirmation that my fur baby that had just lost 11/9/23, that she is in heaven. I've been praying and asking for a sign, and this was it. Thank you, God. And this is the last reply that I typed up because I didn't want to go on forever tonight. The cats and dogs, that gets me all emotional. Cats and dogs, especially with Charlotte losing so many of her animals. The cats and dogs going up the stairs has just passed, and the dogs jumping into the light. I can't wait to see all of my pets in the front past pets one day. Although I had always been told our pets were waiting for us on a rainbow bridge, and happy to know they are all going to be with us again. Isn't that lovely? I love that. I think that's very impactful for people to see, to know that our animals greet us as well as people, because that
I think
everybody knows
I'm gonna end up with
what
more animals than people with me.
your
You know,
uncle, your family, your mother will be there.
they'll be there, yeah. But my dogs and my cats and everybody will be there. My rabbits, my birds.
Yeah, that was a really fun. That movie really conjured up a lot, and I knew it wasn't just enough for me to talk about the movie. I wanted to give some examples of true stories so that the audience can hear it does happen in different ways. And I've had this comment told to me. I don't know, it was a lecture or something, in a radio show or whatever. I can't remember. Um, why is every experience different? And I says, look at all the religions around the world.
Hmm.
How many people I've talked to personally who saw Christ? I'm a Christ-based spiritualist minister. Yet, yet at this age, that was I got my ministry February 18th of '92, and I was definitely Christ-based. Now, the church I worked at, Universal Christ of the Master, did not believe in reincarnation or UFOs, and I was kind of like, I believe in UFOs. I believe there's more. So I
Hmm.
found Dr. Reverend Judy Fisher out of Florida, and her church. Uh,
I hear him.
yeah, I know, right? I've been sitting too long not paying attention to my fur babies. Um, they are in Sedona, Arizona. Church of the Living God, Sedona, Arizona. So I was ordained in Sedona, Arizona before it was popular, before it was even heard of. In fact, I met the lady who discovered the vortexes in town, and she was a wonderful, curvy lady with a lot of skirts, kind of the Indian look. She was fabulous. Anyway, she was the one that first pronounced, and that was in '92, February '92. So anyway, a lot of people have different experiences, and I says a lot of it has to do with how you're raised. An atheist, and I had two atheists come to visit me after they died, and they were brought to a family gathering first. And then this lady, Deb, she saw a meadow with a lot of vegetation. The first time the gentleman took me over to the other side to see where he was in '01, I think. No, I don't think it was the first time. I can't remember now. And he showed me a big valley with hills and dales and mountains. That's where his greeting was. He says it was beautiful, and probably me too. I probably shown a dirt trail. Go, Nancy, go run, and here's your dog. But a lot of people in different religions will have different expectations, and that expectation will be given to you.
Hmm.
It'll be yours alone.
And looking
And
back
so
on this, plus what you said
I
earlier,
can't hear you, honey. What?
and looking back on this, plus what you said earlier, about your brain only letting you see certain things. That is something Sylvia Brown always said.
Can you turn the volume up a little, hon?
Yeah, better.
Your volume is very low. Uh huh.
Okay. Um, that's weird to do that. Like everything else tonight. Uh, Looking
Anyway, what she said
back
was
on what
Sylvia
you
Brown
said,
also said the
including with
same
this
thing.
about your brain's going to let you see what.
Your brain will let you see according to
Right,
your
right.
belief system. Yes, absolutely. I'm a spiritualist minister
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And, yeah, and the other thing you brought up too, it was interesting, was that Sylvia Brown also stated that whoever is controlling these psychic abilities will only let you see what you can handle. That
Right.
was something else
And
she
so
said.
Sylvia Brown also said, as I said earlier, your brain will direct what you will remember of a near death experience and what you're
Right,
meant to
right,
see.
right. Okay,
I
we got
don't know
another
what's
question.
creating your voice to be so low. So I'll just repeat what you said. You're almost, I don't know if someone will have a hard time hearing that.
That's
Okay.
weird.
Was there any other
We
questions?
got
Oh,
another
Pamela.
question.
Hello there,
There's another
dear.
question.
Michelle.
There's another
You're
question,
lovely.
Michelle.
You just so good there. Um, Nancy, ever been in a situation where someone was in a coma and a family member wanted to know where that person was in their mind or where they were while in a coma? Yes, actually, I did have a young person, a family come to me and talk to him. Uh, I don't have to be around somebody. I had people call me and say, "Oh," blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Well, ask the questions for him. Doesn't matter. And this young man was very peaceful, kind of not sleeping, but just resting. He didn't really talk a lot, but he felt very content. So somehow, in this one particular case, he was kind of in repose. He wasn't like stressed or anything. So I know there was a fellow on. Have you had this fellow on with a call? I think you did a couple of days ago. That's my experience. I think everybody, as with a near-death experience, everyone is unique. You are in a coma, depending on your mental state before you got into the coma, or possibly how you feel about yourself, you will present that. Like I said, I've talked to people who have regret, like in the movie with Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come. He dies, and then his wife commits suicide because she can't live without him or the children. And he finds her in her self-created hell, and it's a bubble environment. And I've seen those bubbles, actually seen them, and they're opaque. I can't see through them. So it's a self-created world. And I think common people can also create whatever they are. If they're semi-conscious, I don't know if they can leave and do something. And be in a repose, just in a relaxed, quiet state is what he was. I'm trying to remember how old he was. He looked young, but I don't think he was that young. 19, 20, 21, something. Very not thin person, medium build. Oh, Michelle at 7:53. Charlotte, 10 minutes before creature features.
Oh, okay, I gotta watch creature features.
Okay, Michelle, if you want to see Christ after you pass, all you have to do is acknowledge that. You will. I would do anything to see Christ after my passing. So much better than the alternative. Absolutely. I love that.
Okay, well, that's it for tonight, guys. And tomorrow, keep a lookout because I get the itch that I want to do some more work on yoga. So hopefully we can do that tomorrow.
So tomorrow night she's going to work on Yoda. Everybody.
6 o'clock. Can you guys hear me okay? Michelle, everybody, let me know.
If someone's driving the car, they're not going to hear. You're really, really soft. I don't know what the deal is.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be soft.
I realize that, sweetie. Your voice went from here right down.
Let's see.
So, okay. We've done good, honey. So it's almost 8 o'clock. This was a longer show, but really interesting to me. If you have a chance.
Yeah, we're having trouble with this tonight, and the audio, and it shouldn't have trouble. Okay, anyway, let's wrap this baby up. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio, and we're just trying to get the word out. And tomorrow I will be putting Yoda together. We'll have another session of that, maybe a 2-hour session, 6 p.m. Pacific. And Sunday, of course, I'll be back here to read the book and our 25 ghost stories. And then Monday, my guest is going to be Mark Biltz, and we're going to be talking. He's got some very interesting predictions that he's made. So I will see you guys, and I will give you Nancy's information, and we're out of here.
Thumbs up, everybody. Give us a thumbs up.
All right, the website's nancymatz.com. That's nancymatzauthor.com. And youtube.com/nancymatzpsychic. Help Get Me Out of This Funk by Nancy Matz. Are the books. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills, Nancy Matz. And The Unwilling Sacrifice, Nancy Matz. And of course, you can get those books at Amazon.com.
Oh my gosh, it's gotten dark in here. All right, everybody, it was wonderful. Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Huh?
See you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.